I'm the ASMR psychologist. Welcome to my channel. Now, today we are going to be doing another personality test. And today's personality test looks at the highly sensitive person. Now, if you like this type of video, where you can discover more about yourself and your personality, let me know by giving me an up thumb so that I know to make more. And also, if you find this useful, maybe consider sharing it with a friend, because I do think that the more we understand about ourselves, about our personalities, the stronger position we place ourselves in to make good decisions and choices for ourselves, but also to make changes when we need to. Okay, so the highly sensitive person. Now, these people see the world slightly differently. They have a very sensitive central nervous system, which means they are more aware of the subtleties in their environment. They maybe process information more deeply. There are some advantages to this. These types of people tend to be much more insightful, creative. However, they are prone to experiencing high levels of stress and can become very easily overwhelmed. But it is important to note that this is not a disease or a disorder. It is just a personality or temperament trait. You might also hear the term sensory processing sensitivity, and we're kind of referring to the same thing here. So both of these terms, highly sensitive person and sensory processing sensitivity, were coined in the 1990s by a psychologist called Elaine Aron. And in today's personality test, I'm going to look at 24 questions. And they are divided into 3 parts. The first, sensitivity about oneself. The second, the sensitivity about others. And the third, sensitivity about your environment. What you need to do is answer the questions as honestly as you can. They are yes or no questions, and maybe keep a mental note of how many yeses and how many no's you have, and then at the end I'll explain how to interpret the test. Now, as I said, this type of personality has many positives, but the test is going to focus on the adverse effects. Okay, so if you're ready, let's begin. So, the first section, sensitivity about oneself. Question 1. Do you often have a difficulty letting go of negative thoughts and emotions? Okay. Question 2. 2. Do you frequently feel physical symptoms like a stress headache when something happens during the day that is unpleasant? Okay. Question 3. Do you often have bad days that affect your eating and your sleeping habits in an unhealthy way, such as eating or sleeping too much or too little? Okay. Question 4. Do you often experience tension or anxiety? I can see the numbering here. It's a bit wrong. I don't seem to have question 5. So, question 5. We're skipping straight over to question 6. It's actually 23 questions. Okay. Question 6. Are you afraid of rejection, even in relatively minor situations? Okay. Question 7. Do you compare yourself with others often in physical, relational, social, work, financial, or other scenarios, and experience unhappy feelings from negative social comparisons? Okay. Question 8. Do you often feel anger or resentment about situations in life or in society which seem unjust, aggravating, or simply annoying? Okay, now that's the first section. On to section 2. Sensitivity about others. So this is question 9. Do you often think or worry about what others are thinking? Okay. Question 10. Do you tend to take things personally? Okay. Question 11. Do you find it difficult when triggered by relatively small unpleasantness with people just to let it go? Okay. Question 12. Do you feel hurt easily? Okay. Good. Question 13. Do you often hide negative feelings, believing you are too strong, turbulent, embarrassing, or vulnerable to share, keeping a lot of negative emotions inside? Okay. Question 14. Alternatively, do you often discuss negative emotions with others because there's a lot of drama in your life? Okay. Question 15. Do you have a hard time accepting critical feedback even when it's given reasonably and constructively? Question you often feel like people are judgmental, even when there's no strong evidence? Okay. Question 17. Do you often overreact to real or perceived slights and provocations? Okay. Good. Question 18. Do you often feel awkward in group situations and feel unable to be yourself? Okay. Question 19. Do you feel self-conscious in romantically intimate situations? Do you excessively worry about your partner's approval? Are you unreasonably afraid of being judged or rejected by a partner? Okay, so final section. Sensitivity to your environment. Question 20. Do you feel uncomfortable in large public crowds, in a room full of people talking, or when too many things are occurring simultaneously? Question 21. Do you feel uncomfortable when exposed to bright lights, loud sounds, or certain strong scents? Question 22. Do you startle easily at sudden sounds, fast traffic, or other unpleasant surprises? Okay, question 23. Do you often feel upset when watching or reading negative news in the media? Do you dislike shock entertainment? For example, intensely scary or violent shows. And finally, do you often feel unhappy when following people's posts on social media? Okay. Okay, so that's the end of the test. The interpretation. Many of us feel some of these things some of the time. With all these kind of personality traits, it's not a dichotomy, it's not you are or you aren't. There is a continuum. But if you've answered between 3 or 4 of these questions positively, so yes, and that kind of describes how you feel most of the time in these situations, it's quite likely that you are falling towards the more sensitive end of their personality spectrum. Okay, so I'm going to just read you a few of the notes I made, things I think that are important to think about here. So, get my pen. Okay. So, highly sensitive people, they feel too much, too deeply, as I said at the beginning, they have a very sensitive nervous system. So they struggle to filter out stimuli, so things like pain, hunger, noise, light. What this means is that they are very easily overwhelmed by their environment, more disturbed by violence and tension. Now, interestingly, the highly sensitive person has been linked to the introvert. We looked at this in a previous personality test, the difference between introverts and extroverts. This is about where your energy comes from. Does it come from within you, or do you draw it from the outside? But actually, what research has shown is that 30% of highly sensitive people are actually extroverts. Now, it's not a mental health problem, it's a personality trait. It's something that research suggests we're born with. They've detected kind of biological differences in the way that the brain responds. So this isn't something to be cured or fixed, but if it is interfering with your well-being, stability or balance, there's a number of things you can do to cope with it. So, first of all, know your triggers so that you can plan ahead and manage your environment, create a nicer environment for yourself. Good routines are important, particularly first thing in the morning and last thing at night when you're tired. We always find things harder to tolerate when we're not fully awake, firing off all cylinders, so that's a good tip. And there are various things you can do to calm your nervous system: relaxation, meditation, ASMR, whatever works for you, just to kind of give yourself a little bit of respite from your environment. Treat yourself gently, kindly. And the last thing is to remember the positives that go along with this temperament. You are particularly insightful, creative, conscientious, and are likely to have a very deep appreciation of the arts. Okay, so I hope that was interesting, helpful in understanding yourself a little better. Now, if you are interested in some exclusive content or supporting me in making these videos, you can come over to see me on Patreon. The link should pop up just here. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoy whatever it is you're doing next, and to see you really soon.